The Bible says the right hand of God sat the angel. On the left hand of God sat the devil.
We were always suspicious of these people. Who are you and why are you throwing from the left side?
Right-handed quarterbacks are average. Lefties stand out. They're ahead of the class. They're above. They shouldn't have to pay taxes.
How many left-handed quarterbacks are there?
You want to go there, huh? Okay.
Sheer math, only 7 to 10% of all human beings are lefty. I did my research.
The percentage of the world population of lefties is somewhere in the vicinity of 30%.
There just hasn't been a lot of guys in the NFL who were left-handed quarterbacks, I guess. Has there even been 30?
Actually, yes. The number is around 32 and growing. That's about 4% of all quarterbacks in NFL history.
32, that's it?
That's amazing. I've seen a lot of bad ones.
Well, in this show, you'll see many good, some bad, and a few downright ugly lefty quarterbacks.
Marinovich in trouble, sacked, fumbles the ball.
So exactly why have there been so few?
Great question, man. One of those mysteries of the universe.
The world is made for right-handers.
There's something about a left-handed quarterback.
They're a couple of French fries shy of a full meal deal.
I don't know what you mean by that.
They ought to outlaw southpaws.
What kind of call is that?
It adds a wrinkle of complexity that people just aren't used to.
Teams' lines have to be built differently. The blind side is now suddenly the right tackle, not the left tackle.
Normally, with a right-hander, the ball will spin toward your right side as you're catching the football. With the left-hander, it spins the other way, and it takes some getting used to.
Those of you at home will have to make a quick adjustment, as over the next hour, you're going to see a lot of balls spinning from the left, and a bunch of names you'll think we pulled out of left field.
Jimmy, come in from the other room. You might be number one.
The number 10 lefty quarterback of all time, Scott Mitchell.
Can we just have a top 9? I mean, for one episode, please just do a top 9. Scott Mitchell doesn't belong on any top 10 list.
Yeah, Scott Mitchell. Boy, he fits in Detroit, doesn't he?
Let's win this game. We have no letdowns. We can't have any letdowns the rest of this year.
It's interesting Scott Mitchell's in the top 10 for left-handed quarterbacks, mainly, I guess, because there just aren't that many.
When he was asked to come in and start, you know, he didn't do a bad job.
I mean, Scott Mitchell, nice fella, but he should have been a career backup in the National Football League. He's a top 10 quarterback. Whoa, we're in trouble. We're in big, big trouble.
There could be something critically wrong with Dan Marino.
In Week 6 of the 1993 season, our number 10 lefty quarterback, Scott Mitchell, got his big break.
Well, in any event, Scott Mitchell is in the game.
Scott Mitchell had a few really nice games for the Miami Dolphins in relief of Dan Marino.
There's Mitchell. He's in trouble. Breaks out of it. Runs to the near side. Fires. Caught.
He had time to study and learn, and he was a big, sturdy guy.
Mitchell looks into the middle. He throws in the end zone. Man open. Touchdown.
Scott Mitchell was born at the right time. He gets to experience the brave new world of NFL free agency.
Mitchell back to throw. Looking right. Throwing deep. Down there is Ingram. He's got it in 20.
Talk about the classic case of a backup quarterback gets an opportunity to play a handful of games and parlayed it into a starting job and a big contract.
And he was pursued heavily. There were teams bidding against the Lions. It wasn't just the Lions making a boneheaded play and throwing a lot of money at Mitchell.
Many people don't realize Mitchell is one of only 3 quarterbacks in history to lead the Lions to multiple playoff appearances.
I think you're being a little unfair to Scott Mitchell there. I mean, there were some other left-handed quarterbacks who you probably got ahead of him. He was better than that. Just on the strength of the one season he had with Detroit, he probably should be a little higher on the list than that.
What a great throw by Scott Mitchell.
1995, he has 4,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns. Lions have all kinds of gaudy numbers for their receivers.
Mitchell back, pumps once, goes for Herman Moore, up for it, got it!
The Lions won their last 7 games, and they made the playoffs. Once the Lions reached the playoffs, Mitchell threw 4 interceptions.
He lets it go. Oh, intercepted. It's
intercepted.
It was about as bad a playoff game as you'll ever see, and his career was all downhill from there.
And the Lions don't know what hit them.
He was a really good guy who couldn't put a franchise on his back. By the way, how many people can?
Even if it's just the 1 year, on the strength of that 1 year, he should be higher than 10.
Mitchell, DeMore, the bang, got it!
I think Mitchell and the left-handed quarterback that wasn't that in that play, I think should be in the top 5.
Let's give Scott Mitchell a little slack. He was roly-poly. He was a system of the run and shoot. But he made the playoffs twice with the Lions. And I'm also starting to think that the entire NFL's top 10 series is just an elaborate practical joke on Scott Mitchell.
If you've ever wondered why right-handers have worked so hard to suppress their lefty counterparts, consider this.
Sinister comes from sinestral, and sinestral means left-handed.
Sinister probably isn't a description worthy of Heisman Trophy-winning lefties Matt Leinart or Terry Baker, but opposing defenses may have used it to describe this Heisman-winning southpaw.
The number 9 left-handed quarterback of all time, Tim Tebow.
So we are counting Tebow as a quarterback still, for now. Then I guess we can do Tim Tebow in at number 9.
And with the 25th pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Tim Tebow.
Since his draft day, being left-handed has not been a topic of concern when discussing Tim Tebow.
I've never quite seen a phenomenon like Tim Tebow.
He's like the boy next door. I mean, he's the guy that the girl wants to take home to the parents to marry.
What's up, my man? How you doing? Yeah, you having fun?
He brings out the best even in opponents.
Hey, man, how you doing, brother? Doing all right. I look forward to playing you for a long time, man. I love watching you, brother.
Everybody's on the fence with Tebow. If he's winning, you know, we think he has potential to be, you know, one of the better quarterbacks. He knows how to win. And when he's losing, he's not your long-term quarterback.
We will no longer see this hokey smoke and mirror option offense in this league. I think we've seen the last of Mr. Tebow.
A lot of people question whether or not that throwing motion was going to work in the NFL.
That's his throwing motion. It's usually going to hit a receiver's feet.
Get it up. Don't be doing this, okay? You're spinning and it's coming down.
There is no question he is not the prettiest thrower in the world.
Ah! How were those? Good?
I don't see the attraction to the way he plays the game. It's everything you shouldn't do. It's how not to play quarterback.
Tim Tebow makes our list because after coming in from left field to be the starter midway through the 2011 season, our number 9 southpaw captivated the entire country by leading the 1-4 Broncos to a division title and made every fourth quarter must-see TV.
Go ahead and explain this one. Go ahead.
With Tebow, it's don't look for the first 55 minutes.
Cutting it loose. Boy, that's not even close.
And then in the next 5 minutes, he erased all of that.
Look out, Tim. Spins away from one would-be tackler. Now throws on the run. Pass caught. Demarius Thomas, touchdown.
You know, when it happened the first time, you're like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Hey, Coach Fox. Same deal?
By the third and fourth time, it clearly wasn't a fluke.
25-20. Tebow 15. Inside the 10. Inside the 5. Denver touchdown.
He's been very good in the fourth quarter for whatever reason.
It really was Hollywood-like. You had to watch to see how it was going to unfold that week.
How do you make things happen like happened in those games? Seriously, how does Marion Barber go out of bounds?
A huge mistake by Marion Barber, stopping the clock.
How do you complete 2 passes and win a game?
Throwing long to the near side for Eric Decker. He's got it over the shoulder. 10-5 touchdown. The second completion of the game.
How does that stuff happen? It's called accident. It's an accident.
He made the throws that he needed to make, and regardless of what the completion stat was, he finished the game and helped take his team to a victory.
Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
I think it really does come back to his confidence level and his ability to make his teammates believe that he can do this.
No big deal. Just makes it closer for a little bit longer, man. You're about to go catch the game winner.
As much as I like him as a player and as an athlete and as a person, I'm still not quite sold on Tim Tebow as a legitimate franchise-level NFL quarterback.
There is so much on the plate of a quarterback.
I think he's a fiery kid. I think he's a tough kid.
There's only one person that carries the ball right here.
He's passionate. You got to admire him for all that stuff. But that doesn't make you a quarterback.
We can argue about the 2011 season But at the same time, we can't argue about the historic and the emotional impact of what he did. His run to beat the Jets is going to be one of those 20 years from now, do you remember type plays.
Something magical about this kid.
His touchdown to beat the Steelers in overtime is going to be one of those 20 years from now, do you remember type plays.
Touchdown! Denver is over! It's over in Denver!
Some NFL players have entire careers where they hope to have one or two signature plays that are remembered forever. Tim Tebow managed to cram a half dozen of them in like 10 or 11 games.
The number 8 lefty quarterback of all time, Bobby Douglas.
Rarely does an organization find precisely the right man to lead it at precisely the right time.
And for the Bears offense in the early 70s, the right man was actually a lefty named Bobby Douglas.
He was a wild left-hander. No question about it.
What a sensational athlete.
He just had this football mentality.
Entertaining. He was a big physical guy.
He was a football player, but he wasn't a quarterback.
Bobby Douglas was as big as a tackle. The coaches wanted to make him a tight end, but he wanted to be a quarterback.
Bobby Douglas, number 14, is a rarity in pro football, a left-handed quarterback.
I was the first left-handed quarterback that had played in the NFL since a guy named Frankie Albert, I was told, in 1945, and this was 69.
Almost looked like the photo negative had been flipped and you were watching an entire game in a mirror.
He played the quarterback position differently than probably anybody else has ever played.
Well, Bobby Douglas was unique unto himself, and I'm not sure it was because he was left-handed.
Bobby Douglas was a big, kind of square-shouldered lefty quarterback who ran over people.
You didn't see anybody that really wanted to tackle him. He was a heck of a ball carrier.
The reason he had to run, because he was running for his life.
A porous offensive line kept Douglas on the run. In 1972, he ran for a then-record 968 yards while throwing for just over 1,200.
He averaged 4.5 yards per throw and 6.9 yards per rush. Why was he throwing?
That's a question which dogged our number 8 lefty throughout his career.
This was a guy that ran like Larry Zonka. But as a passer...
I mean, I was around Bobby a lot. He was not a good quarterback.
Bobby, what'd you do in the first play? Nobody took Carl.
Well, I saw Jill. I'm supposed to read Jill. Bobby Douglas kind of gave a bad name to left-handed quarterbacks because it was perceived that because he was left-handed, he couldn't be a consistently great passer, even though he had a really good arm.
Bobby Douglas could throw the ball 110 miles an hour. But, you know, good luck trying to catch it.
Douglas! Douglas!
Abe Gibron, his coach, at a press conference said, well, you know, he could throw the ball through a barn door if he could hit a barn door.
I will argue his best game occurred when he played with a broken wrist.
He suffered a broken bone in his left wrist. He was out for the rest of the year, but with a memory of the fact that he threw 3 of his 4 touchdown passes after the injury occurred.
It's a feat you'd think would make him a legend in Chicago.
I don't think anybody remembers me now anyway, 30 years, so.
Everybody knows the name Bobby Douglas here, and they still love him.
Oh, we hated him. Because the Bears really didn't get a quarterback from Sid Luckman all the way to Jim McMahon. And I can tell you a lot of right-handed Bear quarterbacks that were inaccurate and sucked too. So I think it's more the position with the Bears, and he took the same amount of heat, whether he's lefty or righty, as any other quarterback that's played for the Bears.
You know, the lefty guy with the big hook? There's nothing like that, just the curl. Our president's a lefty.
Barack Obama is one of 8 lefty presidents, but he's the 5th southpaw of the last 7, all of whom have a deep affection for America's game.
Football has caught the imagination of presidents as symbolizing American vigor.
While lefty Ronald Reagan may have played a football star on screen, only one president was a collegiate All-American, the spuddy-handed Gerald Ford.
In those days, you played both ways. I played offensive center and defensive linebacker.
Politicians have to react fast. They have to be creative in their answers. They have to be creative in their campaigns.
Just like our left-handed presidents, our number 7 southpaw passer had a flair for the creative.
the number 7 lefty quarterback of all time, Jim Zorn.
Oh, hell. We got to get the rabbit today. That Philly rabbit, Jim Zorn.
Probably one of the more underrated guys, because you don't hear a lot about Jim now, but you don't hear about a lot of us guys.
But for fans of the burgeoning franchise in Seattle, Zorn was the right call as the team's inaugural passer.
For his time and for what we needed as a franchise, Zorn was perfect.
He really was a captivating figure because there wasn't a lot going on in terms of wins.
I don't think anybody really knew what to expect. I certainly didn't.
Jim brought a lot of flair to the game just because he was left-handed. He was a guy that liked to scramble around.
He would drive defenses crazy.
Oh, my goodness. He was kind of like the left-handed Fran Tarkenton. This guy was very, very versatile.
I look at Zorn, I see a lot of me in Zorn. He's got a great feel for the game. He's left-handed, he's bigger, he's stronger, and he's probably better.
Zorn runs out on a sprint draw toward his right side. He throws the bomb deep down the right side, large and wide open at the 10. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
The man on the other end of most of Zorn's passes can also provide the best insights into the mind of our number 7 Cuddy Whifter.
Jim is very eclectic, he's very creative, he's very artistic. When kind of the formality of the play broke down, that's when the originality of Jim Zorn really came out.
Waiting for the snap from center. That's a good one. They run a fake. They get inside to Sherman. Smith takes off to the 5. He's in the end zone. Touchdown, Seattle.
You know, Jim's a little different.
He'd come to work, in a beat-up flannel shirt, driving a yellow Volkswagen.
Get out of the way.
He'd get out of the car and just walk into the stadium with the fans. He was a real breath of fresh air.
Some will tell you Zorn's creativity and individualism was a result of being a lefty, but it may have come from an other source.
Milk makes me feel so good, I could just sing.
Show your stuff and drink milk. It has lots of calcium, protein, and vitamins.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought they should have just perpetuated that, but for some reason we got nixed off the deal.
Milk looks good on you.
Zorn may not hold any passing records or championships, but he most likely accomplished a feat which is rare in NFL circles.
In his entire career, I never heard him say a curse word. That, to me, maybe is the best thing about Jim Zorn, is that he could play this game that's so tough and so deflating and never curse. That, and he's left-handed, there's something special about Jim Zorn.
The number 6 lefty quarterback of all time, Michael Vick.
Michael Vick could have been the number 1 left-handed quarterback ever.
I would take Michael Vick on the Chicago Bears right now over Jay Cutler.
I would put Michael Vick higher than number 6.
Being left-handed for Michael Vick, this was huge.
I'm going to give him all this, baby. I'm going to give him all that.
This guy was already magical because of his legs. Now all of a sudden you've got a guy who's left-handed as a quarterback, so this was a great help to him and a great help to his mystique.
That was the magician making magic again. Did you see that smoke coming off of Mike Vick's shoe?
Number 7 starts to tear that jersey off. There's a big S underneath it.
When you played Atlanta twice a year, you had to have the right matchup for Michael Vick and how to handle him and how to defend him.
Michael has looked as impressive as I've seen him in the pocket today.
This is a guy who does more running than throwing, and I think the fact that he's a left-hander is secondary to the fact that he runs.
He's cut it to the middle. He's got the first down, and he is down at the 28-yard line. How did he do that?
I'm not sure people entirely know that he's left-handed.
He's a left-hander, isn't he? Yes, he is. He's a left-hander.
You never knew what you were going to get, but you knew you could possibly get an explosive play. Good or bad, something interesting was going to happen when Michael Vick got the ball in his hands.
Whoa! Lightning in the bottle. That's what he is.
Vick also had a cannon for an arm, and it was not the most accurate cannon at times, even friendly fire with all the Falcon drops. But when he was on, he was on. I don't think anyone in the league could match him in terms of raw arm talent. He just never corralled it.
Vick is on fire. He's thrown for 4 scores.
That this guy can throw the ball down the field. I mean, he's trying to answer those questions today.
He can make all the throws. He's got a quick release. He has great touch on the ball and throwing the deep pass. There's no limit as to what he can do, throwing the football.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
People may think that our number 6 lefty quarterback Michael Vick's favorite play would be a run.
Here comes Michael Vick.
Not so fast.
Snug 71-71. Coach Reeves playbook. It's all coverage beater right here.
71-71 is a mirror, 2 receivers on each side with a corner route and a stop route, and he's got a go-to guy, and then he makes the throw to the corner, or he makes a throw to the short guy.
Same read, same combination. If I was a quarterback coach, that's what I would teach my kids to run. 90% of the game.
The number 6 left-handed quarterback spent 2 years away from the game while serving a prison sentence. In 2010, he returned to a starring role in the NFL.
Michael Vick just gliding into the end zone.
Vick established a career high in passing yards, completion percentage, touchdown passes, and touchdown runs, making the most of his second chance.
I know that he can play the position as well as anybody.
How do you thread the needle that tight?
Mike Vick 2.0 was awesome, just awesome.
The best thing about Michael Vick right now is the fact that he gets it. He understands he has to work hard, which he readily admits he didn't before in the past.
And now the number 5 lefty quarterback of all time, Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell is on this list. Seriously, he's number 5. This is why I should have been a left-handed quarterback.
I mean, he was like an okay quarterback in Jacksonville. He makes this list because he's a left-hander.
Hey, guys.
Let's not discount the career he had. He had a very good career.
Solid, steady player. Don't know if you won a championship with him, but you definitely felt good that he was your guy.
To me, he's the ultimate caretaker. He's like the girl who's nice and friendly and makes dinner for you and shows up on time, and because of all that, you just don't find anything about her exciting at all.
All right.
Remember, he was a backup for a number of years in Green Bay.
Well, you're out there real cold. Just think of me. I'll be right by that heater over there, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
When he was in Green Bay, it was the perfect nurturing ground for him to learn his craft, and then when he got to Jacksonville, he could flourish.
Initially, Brunell played his familiar role as a backup to Steve Berline, but it wasn't too long before the Jaguars realized the lefty was the right man for the job.
And this was at a time when the Jags were just in their infancy, so everybody's kind of watching them to see if they were going to be a train wreck.
A 4-win first season was actually deemed positive, but no one could have imagined what would happen in season 2.
The Jaguars started out 3-6, and then magic happened.
I think the word was momentum. We won a game, won another, and pretty soon we became a very good team.
And the Jaguars are going to the playoffs.
Brunell passed for a league-best 4,300 yards while leading the second-year franchise to within 1 step of the Super Bowl.
Touchdown, Jacksonville.
Riding the arm of our number 5 lefty, the Jaguars would make 4 straight playoff appearances, a record for an expansion team.
Since you're a left-handed quarterback, do you think you have advantages over defensive schemes?
I think for the most part, it doesn't make any difference which hand you throw with.
Brunell may not have thought how he threw gave him an edge, but other traits associated with lefties helped him rise above the crowd in the late 90s.
His mindset was that he would be smarter than any opponent, better prepared.
Very dangerous quarterback, smart guy, mobile, just like, again, most of these left-handed quarterbacks are. Must be the right brain, left arm thing.
Had great athleticism, Steve Young type athleticism.
I heard that quite a bit, and I liked it. I mean, if you're going to be compared to someone, if you're compared to Steve, that's not a bad deal there.
Mark Brunell with a masterful run.
Steve Young never led all quarterbacks in passing and rushing yards in a season, as our number 5 left-hander did in 1996.
That was a hard-fought one right there.
Good job, buddy.
You look old. I am old.
Brunell ranks 3rd amongst lefties in passing yards and 4th in touchdown passes.
Touchdown, Jaguars.
but those stats don't compare to what he earned in his 17th NFL season.
I mean, he played for the New Orleans Saints. He was the backup to Drew Brees.
You're great, man. Excited for you. Let's win this thing, huh? I think Brees took great comfort that Brunell was his backup in that Super Bowl season.
Get ready to party with the Lombardi. The Saints have won the Super Bowl.
100 years, we got you up. Good forever. Good forever.
The number 4 lefty quarterback of all time, Frankie Albert.
I got to admit, when I first saw this list and I saw Frankie Albert, I thought he was part of the Four Seasons.
Frankie Albert, I don't know anything about him. I mean, I'm literally, it seemed like the first time. Who did he play for?
I've honestly never heard of the guy, not once in my life. When did he play, in the 50s? Oh, it doesn't even count.
Ignorance from modern-day football fans probably wouldn't bother Albert, who conquered a few shortcomings in making it to the pros.
Frankie Albert, had two curses. He was left-handed and he was short, and he overcame them both.
Frankie Albert belongs on the list. He didn't play that long, but he was a really good player.
As far as having a lot of success and being a well-known player, yeah, he was the first among the Southpaw quarterbacks. Certainly a great old-school name, Stanford University to the 49ers, back when the 49ers took all their players from the local universities.
San Francisco has been the home of great stars as well as great teams. Enough stars to form a galaxy.
He was really kind of the first poster boy for football in San Francisco.
The first time when I was a youngster and I saw a picture of him with the ball in the left hand, I thought, gee, they made a mistake in that photograph. But he was a left-handed quarterback.
With his number 63 jersey, as unique as the arm he threw with, our number 4 lefty passer piloted the 49ers through the 40s as part of the upstart All-America Football Conference.
He had 29 and 27 touchdown passes in back-to-back years. That was major production back then.
The little lefty heaves it for a 49ers touchdown.
The gaudy touchdown totals helped earn Albert co-MVP honors in 1948.
Frankie and Otto were the recipients jointly of the league's Most Valuable Player Award.
The leagues merged in 1950, and the 49ers lefty signal caller came to the NFL with a few tricks up his sleeve.
He was one of the first guys I remember, coming off of faking the handoff on the sweep one way and then keeping the ball coming out the other way. Bootleg, as it's called.
Albert combines good faking, running ability, and passing as he fools the Browns with a fake bootleg, good for a touchdown.
He was a magician with the football, and his coach at Stanford, Clark Shaughnessy, said his best attributes are those of a faker. So nobody ever knew where the ball was going or who had it when he was in control.
Here's a fake trap play that fooled even our cameraman. Frankie Albert really turned on the razzle-dazzle.
When he got outside the pocket, he was very dangerous.
A lefty who just liked to run around like a crazy man. That was Frankie Albert.
Throwing the football, spreading out the offense, men in motion. They were reinventing the game, and he had a huge part of that.
Sometimes even right-handed quarterbacks prefer to throw with their left hand.
Play fake, Manning back to throw. He throws one left-handed. He throws it to Jacobs, who makes the catch.
Imagine what these guys could do if they took a lesson from our number 3 left-handed quarterback.
The number 3 lefty quarterback of all time, Boomer Esiason.
Number 3? Who's number 1 and who's number 2? What kind of call is that?
I think we've got him ranked a little too high. The best of anything, and Boomer's number 3.
Boomer in the 80s, yeah. Boomer in the 90s, the Jets thing, not so much.
Not your problem, Boomer.
Boomer is the worst. I don't agree with it, and I can explain my way through it all.
Listen, I need your concentration.
Boomer Esiason, the thing that sticks out to me is, the blonde locks and the left hand.
Coming off an era where you have Ken Anderson, who threw the ball hard enough to get it there and soft enough to catch it. And he was tremendously accurate. On comes Boomer.
Let's go, boys!
The strong left-handed quarterback, the ball with the different spin coming out of the left hand, and it took a long time for his receivers to adjust to it.
A lot
lot of people don't talk about left-handed quarterbacks, but he was a great passer.
Sias in the throw. Throws deep. Into the end zone for McGee. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
He had a great gun, and he could throw anywhere on the field.
Which is exactly what our number 3 lefty QB had to do each week, running the complex, up-tempo Bengals offense of the 1980s.
They should have a cheat sheet for you. They should, because this is not a normal offense.
Let's go, attack!
We basically took our entire playbook and put it out on the field without a huddle. And in order to do that, you got to have smart players. So there is still motion on that. Yeah.
Sam Weiss challenged him intellectually, and Boomer responded to that.
Throws down the right hole, and it's going to be a touchdown.
That's Major League, man.
Boomer, to me, was a guy that, because he got wild high at times, as left-handers often do, that would be the only criticism.
I could have thrown a better ball, too. I could have hit him in the stomach with it. Boomer made being a left-handed quarterback a little bit of a glamorous thing.
I know Boomer has every passing record of left-handed quarterbacks in the history of the league.
Sure, our number 3 southpaw put up gaudy career passing numbers, but the 1988 league MVP lost that season's ultimate prize to a legendary righty.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to Taylor.
Boomer Esiason was huge. Not only his physical presence, but his leadership ability. Everybody gravitated to him.
I feel like I'm at a wedding with this guy right in our face all day.
Definitely wasn't an introvert.
Let's take our focus off that jumbotron and get back on the field.
I liked him because he had an edge to him.
Oh, it's like we gave up on that.
Just didn't give a hoot about what people thought about him. He was going to do his own thing and do it his way.
Boomer proved from a stat standpoint, from an execution standpoint, that it could be done just as effectively. It didn't matter what side you were throwing from.
Thank you.
A convincing enough argument to put Boomer at number 3 on our list, which should be an honor, unless you're an independent, strong-willed lefty who had more than just a big arm.
If you don't think you're number 1, then there's got to be something wrong with you. Because you got to remember, all of us quarterbacks, we have like huge egos. We look at ourselves in the mirror and go, hey, you're a pretty important guy.
Brown runs to the left, throws to the left, touchdown.
That's a perfect throw.
Long before lefty Ronnie Brown was throwing touchdowns for the Dolphins, they had already opened up their playbook to another southpaw running back.
Myers wants to throw a pass. It is caught for a touchdown. In the end zone, Irving Pryor.
But no one was as crafty on or off the field as our number 2 left-handed quarterback.
The number 2 lefty quarterback of all time, the Snake.
Who's won?
Stabler number 2, I think, is probably about right.
Brilliant work of art. Yasha Heifetz never played a violin with more dexterity than Kenny Stabler is playing the Minnesota Viking defense.
Stabler pioneered the idea that, hey, left-handed quarterback's just as good.
There weren't any left-handed quarterbacks. I mean, it started with me in high school ball and at Alabama. I'd always hear, good athlete, but he's left-handed. I always lived with that label.
Stabler rolling to the left. He's going to go. Woo! Wins it in. Kenny Stabler.
But, it doesn't matter which hand you play with. When you play with the people that I played with, it all works out.
And Stabler was on the money.
I don't think being left-handed is an advantage or a disadvantage. The only thing that looked different was the guys throwing the ball with a different hand, and the ball spins the opposite way.
Receivers can figure out the different spin on the ball. Maybe you have to have your right tackle rather than your left tackle be better in pass protection, but these are things he can do.
Back is Stabler. Pumps once. Goes down the middle of Casper. Wide open. Touchdown Raiders.
I asked Freddie Biletnikoff about that the day that I got to training camp as a rookie. I said, this ball looks different coming at you, right? He said, yeah, but I don't notice that. All I see is a football coming.
6 to go. Deep bomb being thrown to Biletnikoff up the left side. Retreat pass.
Snake is number 2 on this list, but he's number 1 as a partier. Legendary partier.
People always thought he didn't want to work hard. When he worked hard, he worked. But when the working was over, he was going to go play and have a good time.
Where were you last night? He was out late. I was reading the game plan by the light of the jukebox, right? That was one of his lines.
I don't really need an awful lot of sleep, and I would read the game plan by the light of the jukebox sometimes. How much sleep do you need to go play 3 hours?
I picture Ken Stabler like, kicking open the saloon doors, those wooden swinging doors like in the Old West, going in, having a couple of whiskeys, looking at his watch. Oh, I got a game in 3 hours. I better get going.
Late in the game, that cool, everybody felt it in the huddle. He was going to take you down, boom, 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 and make something happen.
Okay, in the huddle today, we got the snake at quarterback.
To me, Kenny Stabler was the definition of clutch.
He's under the gun. He throws.
There was a little magic about Ken Stabler, that renegade. He was a very popular, mesmerizing figure.
Stabler rolling to the left, throws a quick touchdown to Kessler.
Ken Stabler was the first lefty to ever win a Super Bowl.
He was a great quarterback on a team that won a lot of games. He's one of those guys, you just see him out there and flinging the ball left-handed, and he just got it done. And now, the #1 lefty quarterback of all time, Steve Young.
Steve Young, without a doubt, best left-handed quarterback of all time.
All right, watch the hot and the flat. Double wing right. What's that? Hey, don't touch my ball now.
Steve was such an unusual athlete anyway. He was kind of the Tim Tebow of his generation. People looked at him as a multi-threat runner style of quarterback.
I'm sure the people of Tampa Bay have a much different opinion of Steve Young than the folks out in San Francisco. I mean, when he came to the 49ers, he was considered a bust. Bill Walsh drilled Steve Young into becoming a passer.
Left-handed wise, he's better than a lot of right-handed quarterbacks ever thought about being, much less left-handed quarterbacks, so he's got to be #1.
Atta baby. Atta baby. Get it out of the huddle, listen close, get your ear into my face, you know what I mean? Let's go.
In 1991, an injury to the right-handed legend Joe Montana gave lefty Steve Young the opportunity he'd been waiting for.
He had so many cards stacked against him. It was almost perfect and poetic that he was left-handed. Symbolically, he was so different from Joe. That's how you write it up in the script.
Gets back up and is landed out at the 16-yard line. Then he lost the ball.
Joe Montana would be running in the first place.
This was a controversy that swept through the Bay Area for several years. Joe or Steve, Steve or Joe.
Montana's still the best, and he always will be.
You think about Steve Young and just all the pressure that comes with replacing a legend.
People here, they think that's what Joe Montana would do. Steve Young took this 49er team right down the field.
And then to thrive after all of that. Boy, Steve Young deserves to be in the Hall of Fame and #1 on this list for dealing with that.
He believed in a scrambling lefty. Thanks, Bill.
Steve Young is a very intelligent guy.
Same name as a category.
Rubber, wedding, and marching band.
Yeah, wow, that's good.
He has probably a much higher IQ than the average guy to go along with great athletic ability, and usually at the quarterback spot, you see one or the other.
For a brain your size, you're not really acting very smart.
Steve Young was the most complete quarterback of all time. It could have been easy for him just to be a runner.
He's got some room. He's going to try to dive for it. He gets there.
And a lot of people assumed that he was running because he couldn't make the right decision, but he ran with a purpose.
Steve Young, one of the courageous games I've ever seen in a pro football player's career. To get the winning score is just the stuff of legend.
Even in a preseason game, I still remember Steve Young without his helmet on, not running out of bounds, but cutting back inside and trying to get extra yards. He was a fantastic competitor.
That's guts.
And he ran effectively, but he threw with a purpose and threw very effectively.
The ball had to be perfect. It was. Niners will win it. The 49ers are going to the Super Bowl, number 29 in Miami.
As good as Steve Young was after Joe Montana left, he was never accepted until he took that team past the Cowboys and won a Super Bowl.
Won't have to hear any more talk about Steve Young getting to the Super Bowl. Now he'll have to win one.
Quick pass to the goal line. Floyd falls in. Touchdown, 49ers. Young straight back drop. Quick pass, left flat. Ricky Waters makes the catch. He's in.
Steve Young did more than just win the championship. He tossed 6 touchdowns, and the greatest passing performance in Super Bowl history belongs to a lefty.
He was one of those guys that when he won the Super Bowl, you could tell it meant more to him. The tears, the shaking.
And no one can ever take it away from us, ever!
And that's because he's left-handed.
You know, when you walk into Canton, it should say, here is all the righties, and then one lefty, Steve-O.
Our list is complete, but the debate rages on.
You got 2 awesome lefties at the top of the list.
Other than Stabler, I don't think anybody could come close to Steve Young.
I'll go with Stabler just because there's a cool factor.
When you think left-handed quarterback, you think Steve Young. That's it.
Until somebody else comes along and outperforms Steve Young is a left-handed quarterback who could also run like a running back and throw the ball downfield as good as anybody. Steve Young's the best.
Yeah, I think Steve Young's the most overrated quarterback to ever be in the NFL.
There's going to be a riot because of this list. I just hope NFL Films is ready for that.